Are we going live? Are we live? We are live.
We're
Welcome,
live.
everyone. We are live. Welcome to our Success Mastermind for Thursday, October 22nd. John Lavenia here with you live. I am actually hosting today. It is Thursday, the day of Thor. And as such, we're going to have a seismic thing. I think I'm hosting today, right, Jamie? Am I hosting today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. You're in. You're on.
Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. I know we're reassessing schedules and making sure we've got stability. And I think we're going to have Jamie and Mark alternating on Thursdays. At least I think that's what's going to happen. Mark, I'm hosting today, right? It's not Jamie. It's not you.
Right.
Right. Okay.
I'm tonight.
Okay. So
I believe
tonight,
that starts next week.
great. Let's go ahead and talk about what we've got going on tonight, since it is Thursday, the day of Thor. We do have Yoga Basics with Nancy Burtonshaw, our favorite yoga instructor, and that is at our new time, which is 12:30 p.m. Pacific. Add 3 for the East Coast, add 8 for the UK, and add however many you've got to actually add or subtract or something to figure out what time it is in Sydney. But anyway, that is 12:30 p.m. where I sit right now, because I'm basically on Pacific time. And then, of course, tonight at 5 Pacific, 6, 7, 8 Eastern, global and tactical marketing with Mark Riggle, who talks about global and tactical and strategic considerations when it comes to building your business. I will also let you know that we are kind of up in the air with next Thursday. I know we alternate Mark with Shannon. Shannon does Brand Builder every other Thursday. Shannon's going in for major surgery in less than 24 hours. So I'm not sure in what condition she'll be a week from today, but it is rather major. And we thank you for your thoughts and prayers. I'm sure everything's going to be fine. She's got some of the best medical professionals on planet Earth and beyond who will be working with her on that. That being said, we do have a topic that has emerged yesterday and today, and I don't know if it's going to be as seismic as our friend Adrian would demand, but I've got something that like hit me hard yesterday, and it just hit me again as I was tuning into the pre-show kibitzing that goes on behind the scenes before we go live. Which, by the way, if you're seeing this on YouTube or Facebook, you deserve a full membership so you can be in the scene. Like what you get to see that we broadcast publicly is like 10% of what goes on behind the scenes here in this glorious group known as the John Lavenia Success Mastermind. But what I was thinking about is something that came up for me yesterday. I've got all these projects. That aren't finished. And you guys know my favorite 4-letter word is done. And I've got a lot of undones, not dones, almost done, almost started, maybe getting done, maybe not. Let me look at my calendar. And I look at my calendar, and hopefully I'm not just throwing up in your ear about all my problems, or hopefully you can relate to this. Okay. But I looked at my calendar, and guess what I saw? I saw a pile of work, like all kinds of stuff. I know I had a few people waiting to speak with me yesterday, and it was probably 7 hours straight from crack of dawn to the time where I actually get to say, you know what, I've got a little bit of flexibility, give me a call. It was like 7 hours straight. And then I was looking at that, and some people may think, well, John, a 7-hour workday, a lot of people work, 8 or 10 or whatever. Well, no, that was just the morning session. That was the pre-breakfast event, right? So knowing that I've got even more that I can and should and I think I should get done, right? Things that are important to me. I was looking at, where do those things appear on my calendar? Where do they appear? They don't. Now, if it's not on my calendar, it doesn't exist. That is sort of a mantra or kind of a false belief, but still, it's something that kind of rings true when I see what actually happens. Like the de facto reality is that if it's not on my calendar scheduled, like at this time, it has to happen, like an appointment, right? Like the client call, I've got to do the client call, right? And my policy, if you can't be on time, be early, right? So I've got to show up for that at least a few minutes early. So that is kind of like, how I run my day is, what do I see on my calendar? And then I was thinking, I've got all these other things that haven't made it onto my calendar. And the idea came up for me of something that I heard Steve Covey say, the late Steve Covey, author of his most famous book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. He said that which matters most must not be at the mercy of that which matters least. Oh boy. So John, you say these things are important to you? Is that what you said? Where are they on your calendar? Are they at the mercy of these other things, which They're on your calendar. So somehow they made it on there. I guess that's your agenda too. So then that brings up the question of, well, if I'm actually in control of my calendar, in other words, in control of what actions I choose to do with the same 24 hours that you have, if I'm the one who's causing that to happen, if I'm the one who's allocating time, well, maybe it's time for me to make some better decisions or not, right? Let's go ahead and let's evaluate the relative importance of each item. That's something I hadn't done in a little while. So what I thought was, what came up for me in my life, in my mind here was let me go back to my life plan. Life plan. Again, this is along the lines of Habits of Highly Effective People. It's actually another book I read. It's somewhere on my shelf here. Which one was it? It was a bit of a simpler version. I would still argue that Steve Covey's work was like dead on and rather extensive. There was another one. Oh my goodness, I wish I could. Michael Hyatt and his co-author wrote it. Something about a life plan. Some of you may know which book I'm talking about. It's more of a distilled down version of, hey, basically figure out who you are and then plan around that, right? So these are the roles that are important to you in your life, and then plan around that. And so you can actually go ahead and take inventory. Like here's my relationships account. So what do I do, or what do I intend to do based on my ideal scenario? Here's the ideal scene. Here's the best version of John that I'd like to be in terms of my relationships with people. All right, now where am I at now? So let's decide where we're at now, and then what's the ideal. And then let's look at the gap. What would it take to bridge that gap? What would it take for me to have my ideal life in terms of relationships? What actions, what habits must I start to create, or must I actually put in place on a regular basis, right? Habits, not heroics, habits. What habits should I put in place now to achieve this ideal as it relates to my role as a person who has relationships? One of those could be husband, wife, father, whatever, right? Fill in the blank. Business person. All right, which business are we talking about? What are my roles? Because some people have multiple businesses, like me, right? What are my roles in that way? And where am I at now? Where's the ideal? And what actions, habitual actions, could I adopt? Could I make habits to bridge that gap and to achieve that ideal? So you see where I'm going with this. Again, very much in the line, for anyone who's read Steve Covey, very much in line with what we're talking about there, but just kind of codified and boiled down, I guess, for the 20th century, 21st century. I'm sorry. Where am I? What year is this? And so I was taking inventory based on the things that I had written, and now that I wrote them down, I can review them and I could say, oh, look, I'm in integrity with that item. Oh, I'm out of integrity with that item. You guys know the title of my first book. So anytime I'm out of integrity based on my vision for myself and where I'm intending to go, says me, right? This is a very self-determined thing. Well, then I can look in the mirror and see who's the guy that's showing up at the scene of the crime. Why are all these things not done? That's why. Oh, Mark's holding up a copy of my book. Thank you, Mark. That's why. The guy in the mirror. That's why. Now, I also can give myself a break and say, my goodness, I've got a daughter here who's homeschooling and a virtual thing with Zoom because the school and wife who's preparing for surgery, and we're traveling. We got a million different things going on. I've got lots of good excuses. So that brings up the idea then, well, if my calendar's already full and I've got all these other things that are important to me, and I know my roles because I've determined them for myself, I know what's important, right? Then what must I eliminate? What must I eliminate? Just before we went on live on the broadcast here today, we were talking about music. And we have, I don't know if Sharon's still here with us. I know she had to go teach a class, and she teaches music and marching band and such. And then we had some talking going on about, I used to be in a marching band, or I did the school band thing, or I love music. And I was mentioning how I went to a Scottish games festival where they throw the cabers, that's the big log, right? And they do the archery and they do all the stuff. And then they had the ceremonial procession of the bagpipes and drums. And I'm like, man, listen to that. Okay, so the idea that people could get on a field of grass in Phoenix, Arizona, and blast out Scottish music like I'm in Scotland, man. Like it was dead on awesome. Awesome. How much did they have to practice to do that? And what did they give up to be able to do that? So that's the question that comes up for me in my life. I've got a guitar right there. You don't want to hear me play it. Okay. When I play that guitar, it sounds amazingly bad. Okay. Because I don't practice. Now, if I did practice, If I did practice, it would sound better. But at what expense? So I can have, yes, part of my being sane, right, would be having diversions, right? Objective things I can go do. Sometimes I'll just go out in my garage and work on something, right? Tinker. That's a nice reprieve from all the subjectivity, all the thinkingness that I've got to do with all these other things that clearly I've identified as important. Okay, but to really become great at something, I've heard someone say, "Oh, I'd give my life to be able to play the piano like that guy can," and then somebody else said, "Well, he did." He did give his life. All right. So what are we committed to? And so we can't spread ourselves too thin. I find myself, and again, hopefully I'm not just puking in your ear, telling you about my problems. This is what's real for me and how I'm overcoming it with your assistance, by the way. You're helping me do this. Because I get on these conversations each day and I get to refocus on purpose. I get reminders. I get to remember who I am and what's my role in all this. So overarching all of my roles, over all of my roles, business, relationships, fitness, spiritual, community, right? All these roles, overarching all of that. Why did I show up here in the first place? Again, that's a self-determined thing, which a lot of people really don't consider. They accept, my life, that's my lot in life. And I'm like a ball being thrown about on the waves and I've got no control. Oh, that's rough. Right. So I thought about this and I thought long and hard and I thought, well, why am I even showing up here? Like, what's my purpose? Well, here's what I came up with for myself: to expand prosperity and prosperity consciousness for as many people as I can touch in my time on this planet. That's why I'm here, to assist people in getting, what they want in a good and right and purposeful way, in a moral and ethical way. Right. What roles do I play to help people expand their own prosperity and prosperity consciousness? Well, I mean, you got to be aware of something before you can participate. You've got to be something before you can do something. Well, can I help people? And again, this is just for me. Okay. Can I help people start thinking more resourcefully? Because the thought precedes the action, right? Again, assuming that you've got some control and causation in your life. Well, can we be deliberate about being intentional and having thoughts and goals, right? I ask some people, because I do consulting work, I ask some people, what's your goal? And it's like deer in headlights. Like, goal? We've even had members here come out and either privately in emails with me or sometimes publicly here in our forum talk about how they had no vision of that, or perhaps they've had it beaten out of them, succumbing to loss after loss throughout life. And now, perhaps for the first time in decades, they're rehabilitating their own vision for themselves. Like Solomon said, where there is no vision, the people perish. So we've got to have a vision. So I've got to have a vision for myself, or I perish, right? I mean, that rule applies to me too, right? So I damn well better know my purpose. And so now, looking back at my calendar, I'm thinking, how can I best execute that overarching purpose? And which things, thinking now about opportunity cost, which things can I eliminate because I've got other things I must prioritize? There was a guy named Ivy Lee who walked into Charles Schwab's office, the Charles Schwab. We're going back 100 years now. And he said, Mr. Schwab, I've got a business productivity idea that I would like to show you. And he said, okay, great. I'll take a look and I will pay whatever it's worth. He said, all right, here's what you do, Mr. Schwab. I've shared this before. It's been a couple months. Here's what you do. Go ahead and take out a piece of paper. Schwab did as instructed. Write down all the things that you've got to accomplish tomorrow. Great. Now number them in importance, priority, number 1, number 2, number 3, however many you got there. He said, all right, great. Now when you come into the office tomorrow, do number 1 and don't start number 2 until you've finished number 1. That's it. A couple months went by. Ivy Lee got a letter in the mail from Charles Schwab. Says, from a business perspective, productivity, the best instruction I've ever received. Here's a check for $20,000. And that's when $20,000 meant something. Do I do that? I did it yesterday. So I was looking at my calendar and I was thinking, these are all the things that are swallowing up my time. And some of them I can eliminate, but what can I put in as priorities? If I can create a little bit of white space, not that white space is good, but if I've got this priority list, all that white space is filled with the things that are on purpose and prioritized based on, again, my own self-determinism and knowing my role, where I'm going, where I intend to go in my life, and what I'm willing to give up to get it. As much as I like listening to bagpipes, I'm not going to learn how to play one. Maybe when I'm, completely 100%, well, how do you ever be 100%? Like your purpose is fulfilled. Now go play bagpipes. I don't know. I don't think that ever happens. Okay. But at some point I may allocate time to learning the bagpipe. I don't know how many years I'm going to be on the planet. Okay. But at this point, it's not a priority. Right. In fact, I'll pick up that guitar before I pick up the bagpipe. Right. And I'll remind myself how much practice I haven't done. But the idea here is that we're trading our life for something. Is it worthy of your life? That's the question. A lot of times people think about a goal, assuming they've got one, and they wonder, am I worthy of that goal? Because perhaps they've had some self-image, diminishment as a result of accumulating losses over years. Wow, that sounds like a big goal. I don't know. Me, right? Could I do that? I remember doing that for myself all those decades ago when I was just looking to make $20,000 a month and get out of the job, right? Well, I had gotten to the point where the necessity level was high enough that I stopped arguing with myself about whether or not I was worthy of this goal. You know what? I've got this goal. I've got this vision. There's a reason I've got this vision. I would argue that that's what I'm supposed to have. We could say that's God's will for me, is to go be prosperous, right? And that intent was implanted in me. And we don't have an intent. We don't have a goal or a desire while not having the means for its fulfillment, right? You don't get one without the other. Right? If you want to become great, what did Earl Nightingale say? If you want to be rich, you will be rich. If you want to be learned, you will be learned. But then you must really wish these things and not wish 100 other things simultaneously that are contrary at the exact same time. You can't keep planting the seed and then pulling it back up. So what are we trading our life for? If you wish to be rich, you will be rich. But now it's like Napoleon Hill said. Napoleon Hill was Earl Nightingale's teacher. Napoleon Hill said, you got to become obsessed with it, right? The reason those guys could play that bagpipe, they are obsessed with it. And they're amazing, right? I got a friend, a pianist in Los Angeles. I remember when COVID broke, he lost 38 gigs in one day, like one call after another, right? Now he's doing YouTube videos and working on getting an online course together, teach people how to get into professional performance in the music business. And that's a rough business, by the way. I keep going back to music because that's what we were talking about before the thing. I know some guys who do practice that instrument, that guitar, hours and hours a day. They're brilliant musicians and they're friggin' broke. They're broke, right? So again, what's the priority with all that? Thank goodness for musicians. And I'll say thank goodness also that this whole whatever this is that we've been doing for the last 9 months is going to end, right? This can't go on forever. See the whole pandemic thing. So what am I willing to do that I haven't done on the positive and the negative side? What am I willing to eliminate? And what am I willing to engage in? Because I've determined that it's a higher priority than those other things. Only sane people can do this. Sane people are people who are contemplating the future and considering where am I going? Let me cause something. That's sane. That's sane. Insane people, right? They're just trapped in yesterday. Keep reliving the same thing over and over and over again. Foregone conclusions, right? No causation, all effect, no cause, right? The more causative we can be, the more sane we are, I would argue. And sane people consider, what can I do to move myself in the direction that I've determined for myself? Sane people have the ability to evaluate the relative importance of data, right? This is important. This is not important. Insane people, they're lost in social media all day and thinking whatever mass media tells them to think, right? Their life, they're not even living their own life. They're watching someone else's rather than participating in their own. I choose to be sane. I hope that I am. I think I am. You guys can tell me if I'm not. But I think at this point I've just got to get real with myself and keep in those priorities to the point where they become habits. Does that mean I can't have diversions? Of course I can. There's such a thing as balance in life. Some of you are coaching me on that. I'm pretty vague on that thing, but there is this thing called balance, right? And if nothing else, I will achieve that balance because I do have different roles that are also priorities. Yes, I'm a father. Yes, that's a priority, unquestionably, right? Does that mean I'm obsessed with only business? No, of course I balance it with being a father, being a husband, right? Being an influence in my community, right? Different things that we do. So consider for yourself, and this is not an admonition, it's just a suggestion. What part of your life has suffered because of other things that maybe you chose and maybe you allowed others to choose for you, and maybe that you could eliminate to put a bit more attention on things that could become habits? And now you seem like amazing because you've excelled, just like those bagpipers, right? Amazing to me, right? But all you've done is you've prioritized because you decided for yourself that was an on-purpose thing in your life. By the way, it feels good. Sometimes people listen to stuff like what I'm talking about right now. They're thinking, oh my goodness, my whole life will be work. Henry Ford said there's joy in work. There is no happiness unless one realizes they've accomplished something. I could tell you I am happiest in my life, not when I'm drinking coconut drinks on the beach. That gets old really quick. I'm happiest in my life and most gratified when I see the fruits of my work. I see the results. I'm like, man, I just accomplished that. Wow, wow, wow. High integrity action. That's what makes me happiest. And yes, you can have diversions. You can drink the coconut drink. That's all very nice. But our joy in life, I would argue, comes from high integrity action. So if not you, then who? And if not now, then when? And those are my thoughts for you today. I don't know if Adrian Garter is on here, if that satisfied the seismic Day of Thor tendencies that tend to happen here, but we do have a few hands up. I don't see Adrian. All right, let's go to Jamie and then Mark. Jamie, you've got the floor, sir. Jamie. Unmute my mic. Yes.
There's two things that struck me, and I've mentioned this before, which was for me, it's the okay at a lot of things and not great at one thing. And that's what you reminded me of when you talked about the juggling act and what's prioritizing things. And I've been up until probably the last year or so a list guy, where I make and I try to prioritize those, and I've gotten away from that. And this topic really hit home to get back to what I did and what made me have that fulfillment, right? That feeling that I accomplished something was knocking those, each line off that list. And it being something that I really wanted to fulfill for my life. The other thing was you mentioned word was responsibility, and I have a 15-year-old, and she's doing that, or 16-year-old now. She got her license a couple of weeks ago, which I have a therapy appointment after this for that. So it seemed like the day she got her license, all of a sudden, or probably a few days prior, her grades started to suffer for some reason. And I don't, there's always an indicator, right? There's something. What changed? Why you're getting straight A's up until today, and now all of a sudden from the day of or the day before your license, there's some changes. So they're all struggling with this at-home learning stuff. There's technical glitches. There's studying habits you have to change. I mean, she lays in bed and studies. I don't think that's very effective, and the grades are kind of reflecting that in my view. But she said to me the other day she was having a hard time. She doesn't get C's. She's a very good student. And she's got a C+ in history, and I'm reviewing the grades, and she was talking about not getting response from the teacher, and there's technical issues and so forth and so on. She goes, "It's not my fault." I said, "Probably not your fault, but it's your responsibility." And that, I think, is key in all that you're talking about today. We can make excuses, and they may be viable and reasonable, but it's still our responsibility to work through it, work around it, get under it, get over it, get beside it. And I said, I agree with you. It's not your fault, but it's your responsibility to find out how you can get to your results, how you can achieve your goals, which are not a C, it's an A or a B plus. Hopefully it's B+ or an A's, right? Straight A's. So I think your topic, for me was responsibility, and out of this, and there's so much more I get out of this, but the list thing just hit home for me, and we get done with this and I'm back to square one with that for sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Jamie. What part of that can I be responsible for? It's interesting you bring up the word fault, which is condemnatory and critical, whereas responsibility is a bit more objective. Yeah, interesting choice of words. Great parenting, by the way. I would tell you, just in my view, I have the same conversation with my daughter all the time, not about fault. Right. Let's go to Mark and then Nikki. Hey, Mark.
Thank you, John. I apologize in advance if I am kind of shooting around the hoop here because I just, as you were talking, I was just kind of writing some things down. Um, so I'm just going to kind of breeze through these things, just thoughts off the top of my head. Yeah, I'm working. We talk about priorities, and I'm working Amazon. I have some other e-commerce channels that I'm working, and I've found that actually what's helping me is when I find that there's lulls in certain avenues, you probably with multiple businesses yourself, then that's what kind of fills in the void, and I just work back and forth. And I try to be as smooth as I can about it, and just and I don't want to say smooth like not responsible, but smooth and trying to adapt and just accept that this, if there's a void here or there's a slowdown, that I can move into something else and be a little more adaptable, I guess is the word I'm looking for.
Mm.
Some other things that just came up regarding this responsibility to each other. And just recently, I've been reaching out and talking with people in this environment, and I've brought on Therese. She's a nutrition coach. I've mentioned that before, and so you talk about priorities in life. Well, I've let myself go. I need to get back in shape a little bit. I'm kind of turning into a slug because the one thing about e-commerce and working around a computer is you get kind of complacent, or not complacent, but you get sedentary. Maybe that's the word I ought to use, and need to get out and just take a break. So I do, every couple of weeks I go outside and do the lawn thing too. I'm bringing Wayne. I'm using him for some photography on the Amazon side. I'm trying to reach out to people in this organization. I'm making acknowledgments to people here who have talents that we've talked about in this format as well, just to, because I want to utilize the services of the expertise. Where you talk about your guitar, you can't play it. Well, there are a lot of things I can't do either, John. So I'm reaching out to people that can help me make that happen for myself. Mary, I was looking for something. And out of the clear blue, she says, "Hey, I have a little something that you might like for Sonia." And and so I didn't ask her for that, and then I saw it and said, "Yes, get this to me right away." And Sonia's a happy camper right now. I mean, just these little things that just little things for each other in this environment. Sandy, I helped her out in some e-commerce stuff. I feel like I have a responsibility if I've asked her in to do something as sort of I don't know, a mentor might not be the exact word I'm looking for, but just helping out and taking responsibility for helping work through, issues. If I'm going to bring people on or help them out in something, I feel like I have to have leadership. I have to show something and provide them some, you know, some support in that realm. Um, by the way, the new fire plug in this venue is Carlene. The last few days, oh my lord, uh, that lady's been all over the map, man. I give her a big salute, man. Where does she come from? I mean, she said a few things once in a while, but she's like the new John, man. So give her kudos. She's amazing. I just love listening to her now. And Ego, I've come up with a phrase, and I'm going to do this with different people on this thing eventually. But I'm calling her the Regent of Reason. That's my new tagline for Ego. I just love the way she presents information, and she's just really down to earth, and she covers things, and she's just cool and collected and very wisdom like. And so anyway, I know I kind of rambled on here, but I was just having one of those moments. I don't do that much, but I went on it today. And tonight I'm going to kind of do a follow on from 2 weeks ago. It's not going to be the exact kind of grasp, but I thought I wanted to move into something tonight that could have some practical application or had a natural progression from all the stats and everything we looked at 2 weeks ago that might be useful for people tonight.
Hmm. Thank you, Mark. So everybody can tune in to Global and Tactical Marketing with Mark Riggle tonight. Mark, as you were talking about fitness, which is something that we can just look at and say, "Oh, I'm doing it," or "I'm not doing it." Right? There's not a whole lot of, well, I guess we could argue with ourselves about that and whatever. But Marine Corps experience, right? Now I've heard that once a Marine, you're always a Marine, right? So if that's one of your roles, assuming you're with that idea, with that philosophy, well, what would a Marine do, right? Get off your ass, right? You
I
do
get
it,
off my ass. Exactly.
right? Right. You don't turn into Gumby. You're not Gumby, right? You're Marine. So thank you, Mark. Great reminders there. Let's go to Nikki, and then Jamie's got his hand up again. Hey, Nikki. Nikki. Uh-oh, Nikki's got a little cough. All right, come on, Nikki.
Am I better now?
Yes, there you are.
Thank you. Great talk. I never seem to have my priorities right in life. And there's always something falling over off the pending tray, as I always say. But I've got a bit of a visual image about putting the right things in first. So if you picture a big fish bowl, and it's absolutely jam-packed with everything in your life is in there. You know, you've got your family, your work, your money, your soccer, your this, your that, your charity work, your playing soccer, whatever. And you just can't get any more in it. Well, the thing to do is to tip it all out. Some people may know this already. And you have to put the really important things that really matter, like your family, your kids, your work, and put those big stones back in first. And already the bowl is starting to look quite full. So then you have to pick up the pebbles, which is the next layer of important things, which I've put here is the dog, golf, a holiday, maybe seeing your parents-in-law. That might be a bit of a lower one, actually. And you put those ones in, and still it's looking a little bit more full, but it's not quite completely full. So then the next layer down, these are all the things you like to get around to occasionally, clearing out the gutters, doing the gardening, doing some puzzles, learning a new hobby. Those things, they're nice to have those in as extras, but you don't have to have them. And so they're like sand. You put those in like little grains of sand, and you can fit them in because they fit in around the rocks and around the pebbles. So eventually you get everything that you want in your pot by giving it the right priority in your life. There you go.
That is beautiful. Great metaphor. In fact, I think we could do a demo of that. We can get a fish bowl or some receptacle, and we can put in big rocks and then little rocks, pebbles, whatever, and then we can do the sand thing. And that's great metaphor. Thank you so much, Nikki. And thus spake Nikki. Jamie, you've got the floor again. What's up?
I just I don't want to take up all everybody's time, but I wanted to swing back to something I mentioned about the in-home learning, and a couple of comments came up on the chat. Therese was one, Carlene another. Nikolai had a great comment about a solution. What I found the other day was I was talking to my daughter about her grades, and in mid-sentence, I caught myself and just kind of had this epiphany, and I wrote this again on the chat. And for those that might have some kids in middle school, high school, or they have nephews, and I caught myself thinking this is kind of off topic, John. Sorry. It's a different world in these past months. You mentioned it. We're not. It's not the same. The same. So we, in my opinion, we can't parent, discipline, teach, interpret the same as we would if our kids were in school last year or the year before. We have to reassess and reset ourselves to understand it. And this is kind of the lesson I learned, because the give and take with my daughter got a little contentious. And she said the teachers were having issues, and there's two sides of the issue. There's a technical issue about uploading assignments and stuff, and then there was some test taking that she wasn't successful with, and that's connected to her study habits. But as parents, we can't go out at this as we have before, and the way we would diagnose this with our kids is way far different than we've ever experienced. So for me, what I had to reassess was, my daughter's struggling with this. It's a different deal for her. It's totally got to be a different deal for me. And I have to come at it from a whole different angle, whether that's through some counseling on my side to get some help with people that might be better at this than I am, or reassessing it myself and trying to just evaluate it and do the best that I can as her parent. So I just wanted to hit on that, because I noticed Therese had said that her nephew was struggling, and I really liked the comment that Nicholas had said, and Carlene had weighed in on it too. So I just wanted to put my 2 cents in on that, Yeah. See if anybody else had any comments.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jamie. Well, I know somebody who may have a comment, and that is the Llama King himself, Mr. Stuart Wild. How are you, sir?
Oh my God, I'm doing great. That was just what I needed to hear today. John, your enthusiasm today is contagious. You're on fire, man. So thank you. I really appreciate you bringing it today, the big guns, baby. It was just what I needed to hear. I liked what you talked about in terms of roles and assigning task lists based on each roles. I heard you say my relationship account. And I really like the concept of looking at these different roles as having various different accounts, receivable, payable, however you want to look at that, but task lists, right? And yesterday, I put on my Yamero hat, and yesterday was Llama Day. And so we had, we finished up a big fencing project that had been going on all summer. And as much as I wanted to do other stuff, my priority was to these animals, right? So we spent a good part of the day, giving them all new pastures. They ran around like they were just the happiest creatures on earth, jumping.
I'm sorry,
and
you
running.
said fencing. You're talking about llamas? Do they fence?
Yeah, like new pasture. Yeah, new pastures for these guys.
A fence, not fencing like with swords or
Oh, haha, no, I haven't taught them to do that yet. En garde, touche, parry, thrust. No, they don't know that stuff. They only speak Spanish and English. They don't know the French fencing terms. But what's interesting is today is back to business, right? And I have to say, like, even I was a little stressed out even about getting on call today, because my punch list is massive, right? I just have a huge to-do list that spans several aspects and facets of my life, right? And so we've spent the last few weeks making sure that we had materials to go into production on our new product. We've got now our giant shipment from overseas came. So we got 300 units, 75 cartons taking up half of my garage kind of thing. We've got graphic design and inserts and box design. So there's so many different things that we got to do, and to try and prioritize. Like, my first instinct is to like go out and play with all the stuff that just came, right? But there's this lag time between design and production, and if we're going to get boxes designed, it's going to be 3-4 weeks out or whatever it is. And so as much as I want to go, play with stuff, I got to, get cracking on the computer and do. So it's just what I needed to hear today, man. It's really, really going to help me to prioritize and delineate all the different things I got to do today. And today is going to be a massive day for me, and I hope it is for you guys too. Cheers,
beautiful.
Man.
Thank you, Stuart. And for those maybe who are new and don't know Stuart yet, this guy and his wife Leah are multifaceted, talented people. And between the llama treks, which I know you just got the fence in, and then of course your manufacturing, your e-commerce. Wow, man. So you're an inspiration to a lot of people here. Thank you, Stuart, for all you and Leah do. Be good to see Leah at some point. I haven't seen Leah in a while. How about Bill? What's up, Bill? Do you play a bagpipe, Bill?
No. just because the surname's McDonald. As well, actually, I'll be honest with you. One of the best sounds I ever heard was the Irish Guards regimental group. They came into my school and they first walked into the assembly hall playing the pipes and drums. Man, the back of the hairs in the back of your neck just stood up. Awesome sound.
That's absolutely the stuff,
right? Of course, they were there to recruit people, but it was a fantastic sound. Great. Can't beat a military band. I think it's pretty damn awesome. Yeah, prioritizing. This will be very quick. The best thing I learned about prioritizing was to prioritize yourself first, because we can get involved in so much and get wrapped up in so much, and then all of a sudden, whoosh, what was that? Oh, that was your life, mate. It's gone by. And I will say that, as you just said there, for the new guys, I didn't get to see my daughter growing up because my work prioritized my life. I didn't have the choice. It wasn't a career choice, it was a life choice. But I got to help plenty of people and hopefully spread a little charm and a little wit along the way. But the big thing for me, I think, is that everybody, no matter what age you are, and I've seen it so often, is people get wrapped up in their work and they forget about everything else. And you really need to remember who's around you, because at the end of the day, they're the people that will be there when the poo hits the fan. Just in case there's any young kids out there, John. I didn't want to use the other.
Great.
But yeah, so that's all I have to say. Well, sorry, the only other thing I'd like to say to all the new people, it's fantastic to see you as well. It's great to see Wayne back. It was great to see Sharon there. But all you new guys, come on, give us some of your brains, because, well, frankly, I don't have a lot of them, so I like to pick everybody else's.
Thank you. All right, Bill, you're awesome. Thank you for sharing. And we do have Wayne here and Therese. My goodness, Wayne's here. He's off today and he's joining us live. Hi, Wayne.
Good day, John. How are you? And
Good.
everybody, good to be here. I must say I very much miss being on these calls live every day at the moment. So it's great to have the opportunity, and very apt topic as well. And you know, for me, priority is very important, because now I don't have as much available time on my own projects. So prioritizing has become a fairly significant issue at the moment, as far as making sure that I'm trying to continue some of my other things while I've gone back to work full time. So really appreciate all that was shared today. It really is a good help and just helps me refocus again here a bit. So fantastic stuff, and great to hear everybody's input and feedback here too. It's just a great encouragement. I think about you guys every day. I just unfortunately it's a little bit tough to get on every call now. So grateful to be here. Thank you.
No, thank you, Wayne. And are you up in the wilderness? I know your camera's not on right now. Are you?
No, because I've got a day off. We're running around. It's a grocery shopping, doing everything day. I'm actually
cool.
standing out. I'm standing outside right now. It's -7, so I don't have to wear my mask to talk.
-7, so freezing
Celsius.
temperature. Celsius,
Yeah,
right? Yes.
Below 0. Yeah, it's trying to snow.
Wow. Okay. Well, we're gonna suffer through 90 degrees Fahrenheit today here in Phoenix. So, yeah.
Yeah. Enjoy it.
I will. I so will. Now that summer's over, it was like 3 months or so where it's like, man, I got to get out of here. And then the rest of the year, it's like, yeah, I am not shoveling snow, baby. I haven't seen a flake of snow since I can't tell you when. Let's go to Therese, and then I don't see any other hands up. Maybe we'll wrap up with Therese. Hi, Therese.
Hi, it's nice to be here. I didn't know if I would be able to make it on the call today, but I finished up with my my priority item for the day early, so I'm happy that I got to hop on. Great topic. I did miss the beginning. I'm going to go back and listen, but I think I get the gist of it. Obviously, prioritizing is it's a great topic, of course, and I think as I've gotten busier in the last couple of weeks, I've definitely had to shift some of my priorities, and I'm thrilled about it. And I think that I'm going to be adding a few more things to the plate, and I'm really thrilled about that too. Amazon it's interesting because I think right now it's in this place where I can't do a lot. I can turn around and start looking for another product, but I think that it makes better sense that I've got over 40 days of time before it all arrives, that I should be focusing on some other things that are right in front of me. So things appear when we're supposed to pay attention to them, and I really believe that. So that's what I'm doing. I think the one thing that I have sort of the one thing that has suffered probably in my life because of other people kind of channeling me in one direction and me not being confident enough to say this is the direction I want to go would be my art. If I had spent the last 28 years working in that arena, I don't know, I would be in a completely different place right now. So it's not easy to just sit down and create an item. For me, I have to be really inspired. That's one of the reasons why I love to visit different places, make dramatic changes, like just out of the blue go to Alaska for 4 years and become completely inspired. And I drew prolifically while I was there, drew every single day. And it wasn't like I had to schedule it on my calendar. It just is because I was so inspired. So that is something that I think I need to add back into my calendar, because in this environment, while I have gratitude and there's a lot of beauty around me, it's not as inspiring. So I think I'm going to try to schedule it in and see what can come from it. And I think I'm going to utilize our talks in this group, and somehow, like when I do posts, one or two of the quotes that really, jump out at me, and I find an image that kind of goes with those. I think I'm going to try to challenge myself and do a little drawing related to, our topics and or some of the quotes. So there it is. I put it out there, and now I'm going to make it happen. So thank you, everyone, for helping me stay accountable and for bringing up great topics, John, for challenging our personal growth.
Thank you, Therese. And I'll be meeting with you today. You are on my calendar, I believe.
I am. I'm looking forward to talking with you.
You're a priority. You're an important person. So I think we're done. Any burning desires today? Anything anybody's got to say? Otherwise, you're going to, your head's going to explode and you'll burst into flames. No, we're good. Everybody good? Okay, great. So then once again, we do have 2 things on the calendar for today. In addition to, of course, our hospitality suite, which is always open. We do have Yoga Basics with Nancy Burtonshaw, 12:30 Pacific. And then Global and Technical Marketing with Mark Riggle, 5 p.m. Pacific. I will see you guys again real soon. Make it a great day. You absolutely deserve it. Bye for now.